Oops. Welcome to the Lift Heavy Run Long podcast, episode number 83 with Kevin Raney. You can find us at www.liftheavyrunlong.com, on Twitter and Instagram at liftrunlong. Also, feel free to email me directly at the address wilson@liftheavyrunlong.com. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. If you are not a member of our private Facebook group, you should be because we want you to be there. Search for Lift Heavy Run Long Community and request to join right now. Before we go any farther, I think I forgot to remind people of this last week. I do my best to censor the LHRL podcast that is available to the public, as I have children and I like to listen to podcasts with them in the car, so I want to respect you and your family as well. Some things do slip by, and the subjects may not all be kid-friendly, but I do my best to keep it within the lines of decency. That being said, if we get to a lot of cursing and I get too lazy, I'm not going to censor it because it's a lot of work.
I don't cuss. I quit cussing.
Really, nobody cusses all that much. I don't really know why I take the time to censor it. I don't think anybody really cares.
I feel really bad when something slips out because then you turn on your computer and you're like,
I know.
I want you to.
I saw last week, I
That's
saw
why.
you look over his shoulder to see if you could mark it.
I want to do that. I want to look at you slowly
you do. And you're like,
and then turn.
that's
It's like a
oh,
demerit
set it
is what
that
I'm
way.
giving you. And I give you like strikes.
Demerit.
You'll get suspended for a week of the podcast.
I have more strikes than anyone would ever have. So
Everybody's pretty good, and my language is awful. Like, I have the filthiest language probably of anybody that I know, so it's ironic that I care about what it sounds like, but I do. I think it's a good thing sometimes.
I didn't want to friend you on Facebook because of your language.
I know.
And now I'm married to you.
really,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you meant now.
like language on Facebook or like
Yeah, like you're like,
in
hey,
the
welcome
gym?
Kimsey to the group.
Oh,
at
that was
CrossFit.
That was a weird.
And
That's
him
a
and
weird,
Pinkley got on this
Me and
argument.
Laura Pinkley.
And maybe
Yeah. So
So you
Diane.
can imagine the
It's-
language.
So it got real bad. And then he, like, a friend request came up and I'm like, oh,
So
I
just
don't want
so,
to friend this
so we
guy.
have
His
this.
language is terrible.
So we have this private Facebook group, right, for just their gym members, and there is no filter, and people are crazy. Like, and they say things that are beyond. Like, sometimes I'm just like, I can't even. Should I delete?
Makes you blush.
I gotta delete this. Like, there are teenagers in this group, and then I'm like, oh, my daughter is one of them. Well, she's 20 now, but. It's insane. People are just crazy, man, and it's fun to let people be crazy. But at some point,
Amanda loved my language. She didn't stand a chance against my love magnet. Not a prayer. She heard me drop one F-bomb, and she's like, I gotta have that
I like
guy.
that guy.
That's my
about-
sailor man.
That's about
She puts on a good front, doesn't she?
All right, speaking of Amanda, boy, is she ever good looking. She is my incredibly wonderful wife and best friend and outstanding mother to our children and such a good supporter. Grayson couldn't go to school today, and he was sick, and Amanda called in to work and stayed home to take care of him and do his project, and you're just a wonderful, wonderful person.
I helped him do his project.
He did it himself?
No, I helped him, but you said I did his project. We got to clear up.
What kid has ever done their own project?
That's what everyone else does.
I actually got.
I'm like the guy that's like, oh no, you're gonna go do that yourself. It's due Monday. Get it done. It's Sunday night. What's wrong with you?
I actually
and, like,
won.
and then they go to school, and everybody else's parents have built these massive things, and my kid goes in with like a string and a piece of macaroni. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry. You're supposed to do it yourself.
I don't tell him to do it himself because I want him to learn anything. I tell him to do it himself because I don't want to screw with it. I don't care who does it. I mean, if he can get the neighbor down the street to do it for $3, then that's fine.
Hey, I actually won first place at a book fair one time for my daughter's project.
You did. Good for you.
Yes, I did.
Drew Womahawk got beat out.
He got beat.
His
Oh,
science
really?
fair project,
He got second
he got
place.
second place. He was none too happy about it.
He was bragging. He's like, "This is first place material. I did this."
You should have heard some of the vocabulary that he used in his daughter's.
I don't even think she could pronounce half.
No way. I couldn't pronounce half the words. And he was counting on those to be like those were his money words. Like, this is what's going to get me the title. And he just couldn't quite pull it off. There was another parent that won it more than he did.
Exactly.
That's right.
Womahawks, you got to dig deep, man. Amanda, today's a special day. Today is your birthday.
25 years old.
And you know what that means. We're all going to sing happy birthday for you. I bet Kevin's
Oh.
over there like, good God. He put me on a microphone. I
Hey,
don't
his
already know
birthday's
this.
tomorrow, so
Yeah,
Is it really?
we can
We'll
go ahead
sing
and do
happy
both.
birthday
We're going to sing to
both of
both
you.
of them on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Amanda and Kevin.
Happy
birthday to you.
And many more.
wow,
We lost the one Facebook person.
That was good.
that was special. Thank
That
you,
was good.
thank you all.
You're a special person.
Absolutely.
Happy birthday. Thanks for all that you do.
Stole my thunder because I was going to sing it to you when he got around to me.
You were
That-
really?
that's okay.
You probably brought your guitar and we're going to serenade her.
Man. Just ruined it. But it's time for you to ruin my thunder because I do it to you all the time.
So next to Jack Tan, we have Kevin Raney, who is the race director of the Memphis Runners Track Club
Winter Off-Road Series.
Winter Off-Road Series.
Yep.
And you are also a Christian Brothers graduate.
Yep.
I graduated from Germantown.
Yep.
What year did you graduate Christian Brothers?
84.
84. So that was 2 years before Germantown won the state championship.
He's
It
got the
was-
picture over here.
Oh, my
Actually,
God.
it was 2 years after CBHS won the cross country state championship.
Oh, okay. I see how this is going to be. I'm a proud Red Devil.
yeah.
That goes back. The Christian Brothers in Germantown
Oh, yeah.
thing runs
Very
hard and deep, doesn't it?
Very deep. Yep.
Now I'm going to get into you and your history in just a little while. Otherwise, if I stop on you now, I'll never get to the Reverend who's sitting next to you, Mr.
Yeah.
Vaughn Rawls.
Yep.
How are you, Vaughn?
Man, I'm fantastic.
What's new in your world?
Better than ever. What's new? What is new? We're working on programs. We have programs in our app for the Lift Heavy Run Long app that Valerie is helping us build. And you have that look on your face where you want me to say something that I'm not saying, and I'm
Not that you're not
reaching for
saying
it,
that
but
I want to
not-
say. I'm just so excited. I'm so excited about this. I can hardly stand it.
So I don't want to get into a long story, but for this week, I went back into the gym really hard. I've been training hard all week, and I feel really good. And I started with Valerie's programs this week, and man, it's awesome. Like, I just love it. I love going to the gym, doing these programs. It's really good stuff. And then I finally figured out the app on the LHRL app on the phone and all that, and I know how to work it now. And I'm like, okay, so now next week I'm going to go into it even better because now I know how to use this thing and look at my workouts and that kind of.
Well,
deal.
it's cool watching you because I'm coaching while you're over there in the corner doing your own thing, and it looks like you're really having fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you're
yeah.
really digging it.
I do dig it, and it's all about like doing stuff that you like to do. Sometimes, it's not always going to be 100%, but when you're excited about what you're doing, it makes a huge difference because when the alarm goes off at 5 o'clock in the morning, and you're like,
It helps if you want to be doing what you're about to do.
man, not a knock on anybody or anything, but when the alarm goes off at 5 o'clock in the morning, I know that there's like 40% or 82% of this and that, and you got to figure this percentage out and then rest for 4 minutes and then rest for 3 minutes. I just want to go in
Okay.
there and work.
Gus, I think he's putting your
You know,
programming
no,
down.
no,
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
It's perfect. It's
So do
scientific.
you hate Gus like as a person?
I saw a few of those today.
not a knock on it works. It's what you have to do. If you're running a gym and you want people to be successful, you have to have good, programming based on results and what people want to go and do. I ran a 100-mile race and went like straight down into the gutter. Like I didn't want to do anything else. And then we had Christmas. Then we had snow days, and then we had this, and I'm shoving food in my face and beer in my face and everything else, and all of a sudden I weigh 205 pounds, and I'm like, oh, shh.
That is great, man. Nice work.
And so I really just wanted to be, I just need something that I want to get out of bed for in the morning.
Well, I think what you're doing with writing a recalibration plan for somebody that's been through that is brilliant.
Yeah, well, so here's what I did. I thought, what am I excited about? What things can I do to start being successful? Because I've sat on my ass on the couch for 4 or 5 weeks, maybe 2 months. What's going to get me excited? Like, what can I do? And then I was like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make these small goals. I'm going to crush these little goals one at a time every week, and then that's going to make me feel good. And then I'm going to spiral up from there, So, and I did, and that made me feel really good. Like I started with, okay, this week at work, I'm not going to order any crappy food for lunch. It's all available. All I'm going to do is
starting tomorrow.
I'm either going to bring, yeah. Well, I mean, I actually did it, but I'm either going to bring a good lunch, or I'm not going to order anything at all, or I'm going to order a salad or whatever is healthy on the menu. I'm not going to order the pizza all for myself and eat the whole thing at lunch, and then like need a nap, go to sleep at 3:00. So it started with little things like that, and then like what's going to make me excited in the gym? Like, well, I just want to go squat. Like if I can just squat 5 by 5 tomorrow, that's going to make me. I want to go do that. Like, you know what I mean? And so little things like that I just threw in and did for myself, and now I'm like back. I'm back and I'm training.
You actually lost weight.
I'm 10 pounds down, but
are you?
Yay.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's great.
So I like weighed in at 190 this week, which I started at 201. And it's I mean, when you're really out of control, that big shift is well, you get those things like oh, I lost 10 pounds, but like really you just stop drinking all the beer and eating all the pizza and
Exactly.
eating all the things and that makes a huge difference for over a week's time. It's like, okay, now we're getting back into the groove. We're not going to be that person anymore. So
congratulations.
Good job.
Yeah.
Well, but I'm so excited about the app, and I'm learning it as well, so I'm learning to program it. And there is a learning curve to it, so
Yes.
It's really confusing on everyone's end to learn how to use it, especially when they're using it as the result of someone who doesn't know how to use it, programming it.
Right.
And so with Valerie having all these programs, a ton of stuff
There's so much
to
stuff
go
in
in
there.
there.
Yeah.
And now looking back, it's like, wow, this is really coming together, and this is really a neat thing. And really soon, the members, the Lift Heavy Run Long members, will be able to choose their own program, you know, for the set fee, which is going to be very low priced because we want as many people as possible to have access to fitness.
Yeah.
They'll be able to, if you want to sign up for this plan, it looks good for you, then switch yourself over there and follow it.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, Valerie's available. Of course, as people learn to use that, it just gets more and more.
But the beauty of it is it can be at any level. Like it's
Correct.
all like it's all so very well explained, and it's all it's a little confusing at first. But if you click on the thing, there's a video. It tells you how to do what you're supposed to be doing today, and that kind of thing. And that's very helpful. And it's not exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the right word? Like anyone could jump in there.
Mm-hmm.
I can jump in there. So my mom could go in there, and there's exercises for her to go and do.
Yep.
So
I am super pumped.
yeah.
And what about behind the lights? behind
Speaking
the
of
camera?
lost weight,
Speaking of shedding pounds and looking good, the ketogenic cameraman, Christopher Perry.
I'm actually back on track.
I know you're back on track.
Well, you got there's money at stake.
Yeah, exactly.
Was that the driving force? Is the cash?
Yes, exactly. No, I was telling, I think I told y'all at the gym the other day that I've been so frustrated because I've been weighing myself and I haven't lost any weight. Finally, I went to the gym. I was like, I'll try to weigh myself here. And I've lost 10 pounds. I guess my scale was broke. So that pumped me up. And I think that was Monday that happened. And all week this week, I've been watching every little bitty thing that I eat. Also, I'm going to win that money.
Well, I've thought about that a lot. When you walked into the gym, there was 4 different people that all said, man, Chris looks great. Man, Chris lost weight. Chris lost weight. That you didn't hear say that.
Right.
So then you come in and I'm like, man, you're looking good. And you're like, man, but I haven't dropped the scale, so I've lost like 0.2 pounds. And that's good to hear because you get to see how ridiculous our thinking is. Like, I don't care what your scale said. I'm telling you, you look good.
Yeah.
You know, so the number on the scale really means very little. I mean, I can fluctuate 12 pounds in a day.
Yeah.
You know, and for whatever reason. Most of that being gas station pizza and ding dongs, but
Gas station boiled eggs.
that's when I'm being healthy. The gas station boiled eggs kick in when I'm being healthy. Hey, we got a review.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
Y'all know I love reviews. You want to know how many stars it is?
It's 5
How did you know that?
because we only get 5.
Oh, the confidence. This is from Ultra Runner 86, and I don't know who Ultra Runner 86 is, but I really like them. They said it's a must-listen podcast, 5 stars. If you're into running or lifting weights, this is a must-listen podcast that not only will motivate you and inspire you, but it will make you laugh as well. As soon as I see a new episode, I instantly start listening, and it's great to listen to on long runs. I've hit a PR at the 50 and 100 mile distance listening to the podcast, and I don't think that's a coincidence.
That's awesome.
So if you want a PR, give it a listen.
I want to know who that is.
Yeah.
That gave me chills.
We
That's
are
crazy.
the PR podcast.
That's right. All you have to do
If
is
you
listen.
don't PR, if you start running right now, and if you don't run your 100 miles faster than the last time you ran 100 miles, then we'll give you your money back.
Someone start running right now, and tomorrow night at 7:26, we'll know.
I'd be wrapping up about this time next week with getting back in time for the podcast. What else we got? We had a Twitter question go up.
Yes.
At Thirsty Runner wanted to know, does Amanda hide her birthday from the world because she believes herself unworthy of attention?
Oh, I just grew up we didn't really celebrate birthdays, and it's not a big deal. It's just another day. So it's really weird for people to like acknowledge it and make it more than what it is.
What'd your parents do? They were just like, "Hey, happy birthday."
Yeah.
It's not what her husband does. You married
I mean,
the wrong
they might get
homeboy.
you like one little thing or something, or here you go. But it wasn't like, let's have a party. Here's all these presents and woo.
Yeah.
It wasn't that way.
They let
So,
her out of the closet for the afternoon.
Okay.
You can come
probably-
up from
I
the
mean, hey,
basement.
took my chains off my wrist and let
Yeah.
me move my arms around.
That's probably why you're a doctor and I'm a web developer.
A web developer's awesome. You tell people you're a web developer, that's awesome. You tell people you sling fertilizer. Tell people you sweep parking lots.
Tell people you work from
But you own
Comcast.
the don't do that.
You get beaten to death by a guy who sweeps parking lots.
That's right.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Sorry, thirsty runner.
well, we celebrated in the Horrell house. We
Yes,
celebrated
yes.
it every day. The kids wrote her a card that said something something in particular that Amanda has done with them that was special to them, and something that she's done with them that they had fun doing, and a memory that they've had with Amanda.
Yeah,
and
that's
just
really
reading
sweet.
those things was like, wow.
It's unreal.
It is unreal because you think, that's their world at that moment, and for them to go into their little heads and recall things the way that, you do as a child, it's really moved me every time I open one of those cards.
Me and my wife have actually been talking about the kids a lot lately. It's like, man, they're so ungrateful. They're so ungrateful. But when they see things like that, you're like, I guess they are paying attention. So
Well, and they're kids. I mean,
Yeah.
what kid is? How can you be that grateful when you're a kid?
yeah.
All kids are egocentric,
Yeah.
and so am I. But I can look back and I can produce more gratitude. Being grateful takes effort. It is an action word, and you have to take the time to muster that up. I don't think that gratitude just comes naturally, inherently, without some sort of awareness that you should be grateful. I've spent most of my life complaining constantly, while growing up on the mean streets of Germantown with my poor little,
You thug.
yeah.
Callus cut off.
Right. So,
No, it's been a good birthday. Yeah, and I don't put it on Facebook, so thanks, Amanda Drogmiller, for posting that out there for everybody to see. I was wondering why all of a sudden I got an influx of texts all of a sudden a few hours ago.
yep, people care about you, Amanda.
Well, thank you, everybody.
And she's coaching it up at the gym.
Yeah.
Golly.
A lot.
Her schedule is brutal. Brutal. Because she's
Can't
been
wait for
coaching
Brian
3
to be
days a
back.
week, and if she's coaching, that means that chances are I'm going to go up there as well. And it's killing me. And
To
I
be
don't have
there
to go
at
be
5
a
o'clock.
doctor afterwards. All I got to do is go right around and watch somebody else sling fertilizer.
Tell somebody else what to do.
And it's tiring. But it is exhausting. And program workouts into an app. So, all right. Well, let's get to you, Mr. Raney. Tell us a little bit about
sir.
yourself.
Well, like Amanda said, tomorrow's my birthday, and I'll be 52 years old.
All right.
52.
Happy
52.
birthday.
So,
All right.
we touched on high school. Went to CBU. Got my engineering degree, mechanical engineering. Worked at.
Jesus Christ. How many? We just get like the
Engineers,
top of the
it's
top.
I know.
weird. It's like, it's,
And then there's
a
always-
thing of like Wilson and I are just in a space we probably shouldn't be in because we're like everybody else is like an engineer and a doctor and all these things, and I'm just like, okay.
There's parts of me over my life that I've probably, I shouldn't have been an engineer. I should have been in construction. That's what my dad did, and I saw him work till he 60, mid to late 60s, and so it was one of those things that all right, I need to find another career path, and when I was wavering on that one, he said, all right, boy, you're going to come work with me in the summer, and he showed me what it was like to get up before dawn and go to bed after
Yeah.
till late. So I was like, all right, I got an opportunity, took advantage of it. The downside of it was that I did graduate in '84 from high school, but it took me a little longer to graduate from college. The first 2 years was I enjoyed college way too much.
Yeah.
And so
My first 10 years of college.
yeah. And so it took me 6.5 to get my degree. But the fortunate thing about it is if I'd graduated on time, I would not have met my lovely wife. So,
There you go.
so
Everything worked
she was a freshman the year I should have been getting earning a good living, and I was fortunately, whatever, still in college. So, but she kept me on the straight and narrow. We got 2 kids, 2 daughters, 23 and 18. The 23-year-old got married in October. The 18-year-old started in college at University of Alabama, Huntsville, back in the fall, and just enjoying the life right now, enjoying having an empty nest, and hearing y'all talk about kid stuff. I was like, thank God we don't have to deal with that anymore.
Well,
I got 5, so you can borrow him.
Nope.
I've got 5, and I'm in a weird spot because my daughter's 20.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
My
got
oldest
range.
is 20, and then I have an 11 and 5 year
Oh,
old.
jeez.
Exactly.
So I'm in for the
You're
long
not
haul, man.
you aren't very smart. So. I don't know you that well, but jeez.
I told you.
That's kind of he got himself here by running 100 miles, and I just bought all the equipment.
There you
and
go.
that's the only reason we're allowed in the room.
There you go.
with y'all.
No.
We were laughing about you getting a big pay raise.
Oh,
Now that you've gotten
yeah.
all that stuff out of the way, I would imagine this year you woke up every morning just taking a huge pile of money and just started throwing it at people.
No, not throwing it, but it was one of those things of paying bills. So that's been a big deal. Both of my girls went through private school, so we had quite a tuition bill throughout the year. So, but yeah, it's been a good thing. It was important for us. You're talking about raising your kids and doing the right thing by them. It was important for us for our girls to get a good Catholic education and hopefully set them in the right path and keep them on the straight and narrow. And for the most part, we've been proud of them. And even the ones when they make mistakes, we've been proud of them in that respect too, because they've learned by those mistakes. But had a good time. We've so far so good. We throughout that period of raising kids, I got an opportunity to coach cross country at St. Louis Elementary School on White Station.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and
What years were you coaching?
It was a total of 11 years, and I think I stopped probably 5 years ago. Let's see. Let me think about that now.
Do you know Will Moore?
Yes, I do
football
know
coach?
Will. Yep. And his kids may have started right before I finished up, or maybe I've run with them a couple times. But yeah, I know Will.
I go back as far with Will as
Yeah.
as I go back with anybody.
Great guy.
And if you've locked Will in a room
he
and
is.
the conversation was about me, then you could get just about any information that I didn't want you to have.
No, he's a great guy. Met a lot of great folks. The guy that took over the coaching after me, a guy named Anthony Ward. He's probably a good candidate for getting him on the show sometime.
Okay.
But he took it over and he took it to the next level. And then the guy that's taken over for him, Kelly Grusin, has just taken it another step further. And it's just a Jewish gentleman. He married a Catholic girl. He's got kids, and they raise their kids Catholic. And he's out there teaching kids how to run and just doing everything that you got to do to raise your kids right. And so it was a good opportunity.
What was your involvement in running and prior to becoming a cross country coach?
Ran cross country in high school. Got fortunate enough to be coached by a legendary coach locally, Frank Horton. If you weren't around way back then, you probably didn't know him if you weren't in the running community. But did a lot for the local running community. He was one of the first guys that started certifying race courses with the MRTC. He and Rob Hunter and some other guys in the MRTC actually got certifications with the USAT, I think, to do that, and learned the process for developing that. So the MRTC has kept that up with him. And so he coached me. He's instilled a love of running, even though I was in the back of the pack and I was that fat kid that couldn't run. And
I know that fat kid.
Yeah.
Right beside him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so took a break after high school and college and raised kids. And then about 15 years ago, I started back again. And it was one of those things that I realized that running was cheaper than therapy, and I like to eat, so it was a good mix there.
Mm-hmm.
I go to run. I'm probably against not anything against y'all's podcast or anything, but I don't listen to anything other than the sounds of nature.
I don't either.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
and
either.
so I can't listen to other stuff, music or anything like that.
I sure as hell couldn't listen to this thing.
I stopped that after I ran my first half marathon at the Germantown half.
Oh yeah.
And when I did it, it was 40 degrees and pouring down rain. And I had my little iPod on my sleeve and my ears in, and it was pouring down rain.
I can't even imagine that.
Eventually, my
Stopped.
iPod just stopped because it's pouring down rain. I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah.
And so it quit. And then I ran the next half of the race without music, and I haven't put earbuds in ever
Exactly.
since. I mean, I love it.
I think a lot of folks need it, and it's a good fix for some folks. But for me, I like to just hear what's going on around me, and especially if you get off the road and into the trails, then that's where it's really get to hear the woods talking to you.
Well, that's probably my problem, because I sit there and think, how much further do I have to go?
Well, you got to flip that around, and you have to start solving problems when you run, right? Like
Yeah.
When you run, when you're out, it's like it is therapy. Somebody said earlier, like I started running because it's good therapy, you know. And I might have been reading your bio, and it's true. And so, like, if you set out on the run and go, what am I going to think about? I do that. Like, what's going on? Let's take off and figure this out. And
one of my favorite sayings is remain irrationally optimistic and in an unrealistic state of gratitude. And I try to think about that when I'm running. Like, this is really good that I'm moving forward. This is nice that I have
I'm still
two
upright.
legs that work. You know, I have a house to go home to. I have water that runs and heats up, and lights that come on when I just flip switches, and a car that gets me around, and 4 tires that operate. And hopefully when I get back, they'll all be, swole up and I could go to get a pizza and
Yeah.
go
This
sit
couch
on
that
my
I'm
nice
sitting on.
couch. And,
Yeah.
I just go through all that because otherwise it's like, man, this sucks. Like I'm so fat and
Yeah.
I shouldn't be out here and my knees hurt. And,
Yeah.
I can just go so quick one way or the other.
That's what it does for me. Is it just it's a way to get away from whatever's going on in the life, and sometimes it's getting away from some of the bad things, but then most of the time it's just being thankful for that ability, like you said, to be able to get out and put 2 feet in front of you. And more often than not, I go out there and I'm thinking, okay, golly, I am very fortunate to be able to have 2 feet and to be able to go and do whatever, take my dog and go. To see that deer jump across a trail with a rack of 10 or 12 antlers on it, and like, oh my God, that thing almost hit me, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or to see an armadillo scurry across, or whatever. Or
That's fun.
I was out in California this past week visiting my sister, and a friend of hers said I had to go for a long run. I was trying to do 2 hours and 45 minutes or something like that, and they said, "Oh, you just need to do this little trail over here, and it's just do this loop. You start here and go around." And
Oh, that sounds
That
like
was
bad
stupid.
news from a
It was-
trail runner.
it was-
Just gotta go
yeah.
this little
Yeah.
old trail.
It was great though, because I got to see a little, what they call a mountain lion. I thought it was a bobcat. It was about the size of a bobcat, what we'd consider like a big house cat kind of thing. Yeah, exactly, exactly. But was able to do like a 1,800 foot elevation change, which was
Wow.
afterwards. Well, that wasn't that bad, because I'm looking at a 50K in April that's going to have something like 3,500 feet of elevation.
Where
So
is that at?
somewhere in Southern California. I'm looking at 2 different
okay.
ones. So yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, but
And that's in April. And he says if he
Mine's
finishes,
in Arkansas.
yeah.
if he does,
Kinda cool.
Yeah.
well, you may see a bobcat out there. too.
You'll probably see more animals out there. Yeah.
He said if he, depending on how well he does in that, then he will look into signing up for the Walking Tall
Yep.
Big
There
Hill
you go.
Pond,
Yep.
Yes, sir.
25 and 50K.
Looking at that one. So
I've got campsites reserved.
Oh, excellent.
We're geared up and excited about that.
excellent. That's going to be a fun race.
Brian and Sean have probably, I don't know how much work goes into putting on a race, and I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
I just kind of show up and think like, oh, you just pay,
Yeah.
and all this stuff just
It's there.
magically
Yeah.
appears, and this is great. And I wonder if they just leave these timers up, and who picks up all these cups that
Right.
That's right.
I
Yeah.
throw around. And those two are really jazzed up about it, and it's fun to see their excitement.
I'm excited. The one thing, even if I don't go and run it, I'm looking forward to actually going out there and seeing the course, because the idea of going up the fire tower,
I love that.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
You don't see that often. So,
See, I fear that like Brian's gonna have a bobcat up there, or something like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
He'll just be like, "What's the big deal?"
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's a bobcat.
It's a bobcat
Get
with
your-
a snake necklace.
Get
That's,
your
Yeah, yeah.
that's why
Ozarka
you're
water
here, is to
bottle
face your fears and
That's
fight a
right.
bobcat.
Take a tug out of your Ozarka water bottle and suck it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Here, take my last 6 ounces of water.
Right.
That should get you through the next 15 miles of this thing.
That's right. That's right.
I don't see why you're so upset that I pushed you off the water tower. I was just joking.
Yeah, Brian, this past weekend we had our 5K for the Winter Off-Road Series out at Stanky Creek, Nesbitt Park in Bartlett. And Saturday it just torrential rains, or it was just rained all day or something. And so the trails were intermittently beautiful where they would drained, and then intermittently under this much water, 6 inches of mud and water. And so we were trying to decide, are we going to tear up the trails too much or whatever? And Brian's comment when I texted him some pictures, and his comment was, "Run it, we'll be fine. The trail will fix itself." All right.
Yeah, I want to know the race that guy's like, "Oh, okay, I'm out."
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
this is
just too much.
Which one is he going to say? Yeah.
Right.
No.
What did you see the picture of his son? Do you know Adam?
Yes, I've seen Adam.
You
I've
know,
run
that
with
dude
him.
is tough
Oh.
as tree bark.
He finished that race with one shoe.
That's what I was
saw
talking
that.
about. I saw that
Yeah.
picture.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, if my shoe would have come untied, I would have called it.
Well, it wasn't untied. So we'll talk about the mud, and that I've been running trails and cross country for years, and I've had it happen once or twice. But if you do not get your shoes tight on a muddy trail, that mud will
it
just
sunk
suck
and suck it.
off.
That
Suck
happened
it
to
right
me
off.
in Wichita. I was 50 one year. I think it was my second year.
And if you're lucky, you find your shoe. If you're unlucky, you don't find it.
And there was like a 400-meter stretches of just like ankle deep mud.
Yep.
And once I sunk in and came out, no shoe. And so literally,
What do you do?
So I had to dig my shoe out of the mud and put it back on. That sucks.
It does.
During that time, is there a sense of anxiety that if your socked foot hits the muddy area,
No,
that then you'll have
yeah,
all the
absolutely,
sand and
absolutely.
crap in
No,
there?
at that point you're covered in mud already. It doesn't matter.
So it doesn't make
yeah,
a
you
difference.
just- yeah.
I was thinking I just can't finish this race with a with no shoe. Oh my God.
We were doing, Amanda and I were
Terrible.
doing I think it wasn't Tough Mudder, it was the other thing, Barbarian Challenge or whatever it was.
Warrior Dash.
And no, something about the Barbarian. I think it's Barbarian Challenge. I don't know. Anyway, there was a pit,
I
mud
do
pit.
so many.
And I was running.
things, I don't even know.
It was one of those
the
mud
names of them
things.
anymore.
I was running on the side of it, I was just hitting like the squishy mud, and I stepped off and my leg went all the way down, like to here.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh, and I started to lift my foot up. My shoe was coming off. I was like, I can't lose my shoe because I can't even reach that far down to pull my shoe out. And Amanda Drogmiller, thank God, she's like, point your toe, I'll pull you. And so she pulled me over to the side and kept my toe pointed so I could at least have my 900-pound leg that I had to run on the trail for the rest of the way.
Yeah.
I don't. If I got more than about 7 miles into something, I don't think I could bend over and put my shoe back on. I'm not kidding you.
I did that one time at did the Sillamore. I've done a couple of 25Ks and did Sillamore one time, and I got probably 10 or 12. All right, well, that's 15 miles, so I probably got 7 miles in, and it was so cold and icy, and I needed to tighten my shoelaces because everything had swollen or shrunk a little bit, and everything had stretched, and I could not bend over enough, and my fingers were so cold, and the shoelaces were frozen. And it sucked. It was like, all right,
What year was that?
Yeah, please tell me
It's
it
been
was.
about 3, 4, 5 years ago. Yeah,
It
something
was,
like
what,
that.
3 years ago?
4
Yeah.
years ago.
4 years ago.
4 years ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Is
were
that
there.
when we
That was
were
my
there?
first
That wasn't our
25K.
year. I don't get. Was it? Our year?
Oh yeah, I did the 25K.
When it was super icy?
Yeah. In fact, my Facebook picture is me crossing back over the creek, the 1 mile creek. Got the best picture of me crossing the creek. It looks like a bear turning, or like the Bigfoot picture, one of those Bigfoot pictures kind of thing. But you can see I'm about this deep in the water, and it's splashing, and in the background is snow on the little hillside on the backside. So
Cool.
it's really, really, really cool.
I finished last in that race, and they didn't give it to me. They took my DFL away because the 3 of us finished at the same time, so they did it alphabetically.
Oh my God.
What?
And I'm like, but I was
So
clearly
Lomax
in
got it.
last.
Lomax got it, didn't he?
Lomax, or maybe Tim got it.
Okay.
Was that
Thought it
the
was
year
Lomax.
that you crawled into the house?
Yeah,
Was that
Oh,
our
I
was that
forgot
our
about
ice year?
yeah. That was 4 years ago.
I want to know if that's the same one.
It's probably
you
the
were
same
It's
at.
one.
probably
Yeah.
the same one.
It hasn't
Yeah.
been icy in 5 years, 6 years.
I've never heard of one that
except for that
icy.
time.
Oh really? I thought that was normal for that race.
It is
No.
not. In fact, I'll tell you
Wow.
a funny.
It
Quick,
was 80 last year.
Yeah, it was
Is
so
it-
hot last year.
I'll
remember
tell you.
some podcasts
Yeah, I'll
talking
tell you
about
a
that,
quick,
yeah.
just a quick story. My first 50K was Sillamore.
It's a podcast.
And-
it can be a really
and
slow
if you
story.
go,
We're not gonna do it.
if you go on the website, they managed to have all the pictures are like snow.
Yeah.
Right, and so I ran a marathon. My plan was to run a marathon, then I'm gonna go run a 50K, then the 50 mile and that thing. And so I was looking at the website, and I'm like, man, it's gonna be snowing. I gotta go through a creek. It's gonna be real cold. What am I gonna do? So it was in November. I'll never forget. We had one day where it snowed and it was 11 degrees outside. And I was pumped. I was like, I'm going to go run. It's 11 degrees outside. This is perfect. I told my wife, I was like, here I go. This is great because I'm going to go run a 50K in this kind of weather. And so I went out, geared up, went outside. I might have ran half a mile. I got halfway down the street and I was like, oh, no, I'm going back inside. This is too cold. And so I got to the race. It was 75 degrees the whole day. Like it was not cold at all.
That makes for a miserable long run when it's hot. I just
It was
Yeah, it
hard.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was hard. But then we also got paid back for the
Yeah.
warm days with the
Yeah.
ice and snow that year.
So 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I forget what day it was. Whenever it was that weekend between the snow, where we had the snow on a Friday and then it
Started on Monday.
Yeah, started again on Monday. We were doing packet pickup out at Outdoors Inc. for the winter off road, and it had got all that ice and snow, and I needed to get a 3-hour run in that day, and so I left from Outdoors Inc. and I went down Germantown, was running the blue and the white and the yellow trails back to the green line, and then green line to my house, and then picking up my dog and running for another hour after that. And I was 5 minutes away from finishing my 3 hours run. And I'm crossing a street half a mile from my house. And street looks clear. I see some cars coming, so I start hurrying across the street. I hit some black ice.
Oh, no.
I went down and I dislocated this finger.
Oh, no, that's terrible.
And I looked down and this finger was turned like that.
Oh.
I was wearing a pair of gloves. And I was like, crap.
I would have said worse than that.
Yeah, well, sorry.
passed out.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
We're trying to get
yeah.
into
Sorry
what's
about
this
that.
for.
Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So I picked up the. I had the dog with me in a water bottle. Picked everything up, jumped up, and I ran to the house. Called Djana and said, "Hey, you need to get ready. I'm coming in. We got to go to the emergency room." On that 5-minute back to the house, I realized, wait a minute, there's an orthopedic guy across the street from me. And so I said, well, we'll go over there and see what he can say. Nice enough, he took me, he actually wasn't there. His wife was there. And she said, oh, how are you doing? Everything okay? No. Oh, my God.
Look at your finger.
She let me call David. So she called David. He's a couple minutes away. He pulls in, and he walks in the house, and he says, I saw you fall down. And she looked at him and said, and you didn't stop? She said, well, no, he fell, and he jumped up, and he started running again. So I got home, and he looked at it, and there was a little puncture on the inside, and he said, you know, normally I would just go ahead and pop it back in place, but with that puncture, I'm a little concerned it might be broken. So he said, well, I'll take you up to my office, walked me in the back door of his office, did an x-ray, wasn't broken, thankfully, popped it back in place, and lo and behold, 45 minutes later, my fingers were straight, semi-straight again. So, but it was one of those, I had run 2 hours and 55 minutes, snow, ice, everything like that.
Yeah.
And then it
Right
sucked.
at the end.
Right at the end.
And
Got
this
to-
was right before one of your races?
Yeah, this was right before the race that we had to cancel because of ice. Yeah, at Overton Park. So, yeah.
Did you call it? Is that what made you call it?
No.
Did you run
No,
that
we
race
were-
and say, fall down and say,
No.
we're canceling the race?
No, I told on that run, I had a couple of texts and emails, and I said, no, we're running it tomorrow unless we get over there and it's really bad. I got over to Overton Park. This is where the 3K was, and we could have run it on about 30% of the trails.
Say Overton Park's mostly trees anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And the biggest
so-
part of it, there's a couple of places where you cross roads, and there was a half an inch of ice and no way to clear it. And so it was just, there was no way we could, and the parking would have been a disaster. So we ended up postponing it a week. But
That's got to be a stressful thing for a race director to be like, am I going to call this? Like, can
Yeah.
you imagine like when they canceled the St. Jude Marathon?
yeah.
Can you imagine? I just can't. I don't want to mess with that.
You don't want
at
to make
all.
that call.
I don't want to be that guy. Like,
No,
there's a
no, it
tornado
was-
the day of, or there's a whatever. Like,
Yep.
oh,
I don't
was-
want to be that guy in any situation. I just mean like that guy. Like, I don't ever want to be like, hey, we've had this going on. Where's Wilson?
right.
Which has never really happened.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine a situation where I'm like, this is the time for me to step up and take charge. I don't ever want to step
Right.
up and take charge
Yeah.
for anything.
I can do that in some situations, but not in that one.
There's not an
Because
arena I
it's
can
just
think
like,
of where I can do
can't
that.
imagine someone training to go and run a marathon or a
Oh, yeah.
or a even a 5K. Like
Yeah.
I just did the Couch to 5K program and I spent all this time in the day of. This guy just cancels the
And
race.
you have
Exactly.
the power.
Yeah.
That's
You
right.
are the one
I'm
that
sorry.
decides whether this thing
Yeah.
goes or doesn't go.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious. I mean, when you canceled it, I mean, do you get hate mail or anything like
no,
that?
no. Basically, fortunately, with social media now, we were able to take pictures of the parts of the trails that were impassable. And when we sent out the email and put it on social media, we said, hey, this is what the trails look like. We cannot run the race today. And at that point, we talked about, okay, can we move it? So we postponed it a week, and then we come back the following week, a week ago Sunday, and it was 70 and sunny.
Yeah.
Everybody was in shorts, and they had a great time. It was a great race. So it paid off in that one. And so and then we come back the following week, this past Sunday, and we get the monsoons. All right, do we cancel another race? No, we got to run this one.
Can you let that go pretty quick? Are you pretty good at making a decision and then just moving on?
For the most part, yeah.
Well,
I talked to a lot of folks and get a lot of input. Got Brian Williams' input, and there's another guy, Charles Flanagan, that really value his. We were very close to canceling it because of the potential damage that we could have done to the trail, and there's probably going to be some damage. In fact, we're talking about getting a volunteer day out there to go out and do some trail maintenance.
Do you put it off on people like Brian and Charles? You're like, hey, it's not mine. I mean,
absolutely.
Brian
told
talk
me
to
to.
Charles.
Absolutely.
He's the one that
Yeah.
talk to Brian. He's
Yeah.
the real. I was like ready to do it, and Brian, he was afraid that somebody's gonna get hurt.
No. And given that we're this race series is owned by the Memphis Runners Track Club, there's a responsibility there. We got to pay attention to liability and everything like that. We did have a situation last year that, as a race director, you never think you're going to have a situation develop. We were running the 8 plus K. It's 8 plus K because it's more than an 8K. And we had a gentleman up from Brandon, Mississippi, who was running with his granddaughter. And somewhere about mile 3, he collapses.
Oh no.
Oh no.
And I don't know if
I heard
anybody's.
about that.
Oh
Yeah.
yes.
I
I don't know if anybody's run at Stanky Creek.
Well, yeah.
Are you familiar with? Okay. So Stanky Creek, on the route that we were taking, mile 3 is about the most inaccessible point on the trails as anywhere. We were very fortunate in that we had 2 doctors and 3 or 4 nurses that were right there on the scene. One of them saw him collapse and were giving him CPR immediately. Unfortunately, it took a little bit longer to get him there, get emergency services to him, but he ended up passing. And there was.
Oh my gosh.
They say though that it was instantaneous. He just had a whatever and collapsed. Yeah, and so, but out of that, we got so much response from fellow runners, and you've seen it on the trails, people taking care of each other. Hey, you okay? And somebody goes down or whatever. And so, but we got a lot of response from our runners, participants, and everything like that. And some of our board members actually went down to his funeral the following week, and they were very impressed with the gentleman. He was just I think he was former military and very involved in the community and everything like that, and a very big following down there. But as a result of that, we've got a
I was going to ask you if that was what was on
it's
your track.
in honor or in memory of Joe Buckner. That was his gentleman's name. So yeah, we got 2 weeks coming up, and that'll be our 8K race, and we'll have a moment of silence for him then, and kind of.
And that's at Stanky?
That's Stanky again.
And in 2 weeks,
Okay.
that would have been a year since that happened.
Yep.
God, that seems like just
I know.
Wow.
just yesterday.
Yep. That kind of thing is what makes me rethink whether or not I want to be a race director, more so than having to cancel a race because of ice or snow or mud or whatever. So that one was a deal breaker right there.
In a
almost.
situation like that, are you the one that's in charge? Like someone goes, "Where's the race director?" Someone just collapsed, and then find you, and then you have to go and take charge
at that
of
point.
everything.
Well, at first, the first response is obviously call 911 because I'm not a physician. I don't know what to do.
Well, I wouldn't have a phone if that guy collapsed. I would just be. I don't know what to do.
I always run with the phone now, and even before that, I was running with the phone. Mentioned my dog. He and I were running one time when he was a puppy, and he got bit by another dog. And I was 2 miles into a 4-mile run, and I was as far away from the house and no way to contact. So I always run with the phone now, just for that reason, just to be able to get in touch with somebody. And so we were fortunate enough. Outdoors Inc. Mary Royer Hayes was right behind Mr. Buckner when he collapsed, and she's the daughter of the owner of Outdoors Inc. She called me and said, "Hey, we're right here. Can you help the emergency services get in there?" And so we ended up having emergency services coming in from 2 different places. The best part about this is that when you're on a trail, how do you tell somebody where you are if something happens? Out at Shelby Farms a year or so ago, they put in some markers, some GPS markers that are county-wide. If you call in 911, you give that marker, then anywhere in the county they can tell you, okay, they'll tell you where you are, or they'll be able to get emergency services to you. Bartlett has instituted that as well, and now they have markers.
Oh, that's awesome.
All over the trails.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd be like, don't tell me
noticed
where I
those.
am.
Yeah.
You bring your ass out here.
Exactly. And
I
so,
noticed those markers at Tunnel Hill because I was like,
Yep.
I'm going to need one of
Oh,
those here
yeah.
in about,
Yeah.
here in
Yeah.
about 12 hours.
38.
Yeah.
Somebody,
Yeah.
you're right.
and that was the result of it. And MRTC worked with Bartlett on that, and then Bartlett was able to get it done. And we thank them so much for Shan Criswell.
Wow.
and
That's
those guys
awesome.
over there. Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Well, such a sad situation.
Oh,
Was
yeah.
his family able to see that in any celebratory light that
They-
you're out there running in the? I mean, if
they-
I'm going to die, I would like to think it would be doing something.
I went and
Like that.
went and talked to the family the day of, and then I talked to the daughter of the granddaughter several times, and they were so overwhelmed by the caring of the running community and the outreach that we had that was expressed to them, and I think she said, and if he had a choice to die, it was doing something that he loved.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
He had his granddaughter with him, right?
yeah, his granddaughter. Fortunately, she was ahead of him and didn't see him go down.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
good.
yeah.
That's what I was.
that
gonna
was one of those. Thank goodness that didn't
Yeah.
happen. So, but yeah, it was. They were just overwhelmed by the caring and the outpouring of from our communities, which says a lot for our running
Doesn't
community.
surprise me at
Yep.
all that
Yep.
they received that kind of response. My grandfather died on the 18th green at Audubon,
That's good.
and it was good. Yeah, and everybody feels and has felt, even from the time it happened. It was.
Yeah.
Sounds like it was planned.
It was something. It couldn't have been planned any better. It really couldn't have been planned any better.
Yeah.
So that's good that his family was able to see it like that. Chris had mentioned anybody threatening you as a race director for calling a race. I was looking at it more as, have you ever strangled anyone? I mean, you have to get so many, like, hey, I want to.
Who prepped you for this?
If there's really a strangulation charge pending, we don't have
You
to
don't
talk
have-
about
yeah.
that.
No, there's no
Sort of
charge.
assault.
It's just people are so irrational.
Yeah.
They are.
And then couple that with, like I said earlier, the person that's from the couch to 5K. This is my first thing. This is the thing, and you're moving my cheese or whatever.
Yeah.
And we're adjusting this. Like,
No, seriously.
I
Did
can't
somebody
only-
prep you on this one?
No.
Okay.
I don't know anything about what you're about to say.
So the 8K last year, again, back up 2 weeks or 3 weeks from that, we had the 5K. And last year's 2017's 5K, similar situation. We had a lot of rain, and we chose to run it as well. 20 minutes before the 8K was supposed to start, we're scrambling. We're getting everything put in place so it looks seamless to the runners. And a gentleman with the Stanky Creek Cycling Club comes up to me and what are you going to do about fixing the trail? I don't know. What are you talking about? And he said the trail is a disaster. Okay, I'm not sure what you're talking about. From the 5K when y'all ran it 3 weeks ago, and you're just now calling me or coming to me, and it's not like I've hidden or anything like that. I've got contact information out there on the web, and he just wouldn't let it go. And I was like, well, I'm sorry.
I got just about enough time to beat your ass for this race. Right?
Fortunately, there was cooler heads that prevailed, and in 10 years ago, I would have been that abrasive person, and I wouldn't have taken it very well. But have grown with 2 kids and softened me a little bit like that, and work relations and that kind of stuff. And so I was able to hey, we'll do what we can, but I can't.
He came up to the race just to do this.
He was riding. He was riding the trails
trail?
that day, and it happened to be 20 minutes before the race.
Nice.
Yeah, and I was not happy after that. There were some other folks that were even less happy about it, but so that was interesting.
Was it a scene?
Yeah, it was a scene. Yeah,
It's a very sensitive subject, and I learned this very early on when I first started running from Charles
Yeah.
and Sean McKinney being at Stanky Creek because they ride bikes,
Yeah.
and I don't ride. I don't know anything about riding bikes, so.
Yeah.
Like I would post, there would be some days where I'd be like, "I'm going to go run Stanky tomorrow," and they're like, "You can't go out there." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Why?"
Yeah.
Like, because it's blah blah blah. So
Yeah.
it's a very sensitive.
It is very
You
sensitive.
know, and there's people above and beyond those guys that
Yeah.
are really sensitive.
Well, overall, just running the trails at Shelby Forest or Shelby Farm or whatever, runners and cyclists have always kind of butted heads. You know, even just running down the trail, they expect you to get over and all that. It's like you need to get over.
That's
This
always
is my way.
surprised me.
Throw
Yeah,
a stick in their spoon.
yeah,
No, don't do that.
yeah. I mountain bike and I run and I road bike, and so I look at it from I cross both paths there, and okay, if you're on a bike, I'm going to step off the path and let you go by because I've been on that path where I've had to go off and ended up tumbling down the hill. And so I want to give them the right of way on that one. It's easier for me to step off than them. But it's also we got to share the path, and we got to share the trails, and the Stanky Creek Cycling Club has done a great job. Don't get me wrong; they have done a lot of work out there. They've maintained the trails when it didn't get the attention that it needed. They've done a lot of bridge work and other stuff that goes unnoticed and unthanked. And so I can certainly understand if you poured your heart and your soul and blood and sweat and tears and money into it, that you see a bunch of folks come out there and tear it up and don't do anything about it. It would chap me too. So, but sometimes the right time to do it, to approach somebody is. Sometimes
Right, no,
you
yeah,
could have
yeah,
probably
yeah.
gotten a lot
Exactly.
better response if you'd chosen a different time there. So, but a different approach maybe. But other than that, I don't know that I've ever had anybody just really get totally upset about. I've had some folks.
Do you have problems with saying, okay, here it is in the registration, like this is where you pick this up and this is what time it starts, and
Yeah.
then you have 100 people that are like, where I didn't know you didn't.
yeah.
that's what I'm supposed
You
to-"
are not a female. You are a male.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm
exactly.
looking at you.
Well,
That's what you
I thought
registered for.
it was my friends, and I thought that and he's like, no, I said right here.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you get that a lot?
I
Do you
haven't had
problems
that
with
experience
people
yet.
swapping bibs. and
That one
does it
we
make a
haven't
difference?
really noticed that. It's
Do you really care?
I don't care.
Speaking of, hey, like,
Yeah, just don't run for him. So.
Sillamore is bad about. It seems like it's really bad this year, where people register and then try to sell their.
Oh,
bibs.
really?
I can only imagine that dude is in a nightmare
yeah.
right now because you see like 5 posts every day on
Yeah.
the page where I got a bib for sale. Hey, can you transfer this? Hey,
Oh,
Chris
yeah.
or whatever his name is that done? Did you transfer that? And I'm like,
I've been involved in that exchange, probably, even if it was from 2 degrees away, and involved in the exchange of, hey, can I drop to this, or can my friend do this, or if I can make this happen. And I think he's getting that times
Oh my
300
gosh.
people.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, he's got to be like, just you idiots, just buy a bib, show up and run,
Yeah.
make your mind up.
I'm the guy that's never going to bother you, and I've ran many a 50-mile race wishing I could have dropped down to the 50K, but I just don't have the balls to call the guy. And ask him, hey, can I stop? And I'll, screw it, I'll just run the 50 mile.
There should be a public service announcement when it comes to sharing the road. We were talking about bikers and runners and who moves when. There has to be a more the whole he's running faster, he gets all of it is bogus.
No.
And as a
You think so?
yes,
I don't know that I agree with that. Like if you're on a single track trail out and back, and the dude's already turned around, I get out of the way.
I do too.
I am
Yeah.
all the way off, and I expect that from people that I make the turnaround and come back to, but that never happens.
Well,
I feel like I'm the
here's-
only person that does that.
Here's correct. Here's the problem.
And they're probably running with earbuds too, aren't they?
Yes, either that or even worse, the external speaker where you.
Oh
can hear
God, that has come up recently. And that
Or
just-
they're doing like a dance, like a.
God. I love the Black Eyed Peas, but can I get rid of this lady?
yeah.
So, you have to acknowledge to some extent. Okay, you're a faster runner. You got the area. I mean, for sure, you have the lane. But at least like give me a like acknowledge the fact that I could just pummel you.
Yeah.
And then I move out of the way, and I'm like, I shouldn't have let that guy off that easy.
You mean just say? You want me to say coming around on your left, or
No,
what are you?
like if you're coming the other way
towards each other.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so I'm going to get out of the way as much as possible, but still, you don't have to take like
The whole
slow
slope.
yourself up.
Yeah.
You can at least give
understand
like
both.
Yeah. I'm standing off the trail, and still you bump shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you have to
Yeah.
acknowledge
Yeah,
me
yeah, yeah.
as a person and having some space. Like the fact that you run fast doesn't make you good enough to where you don't even acknowledge that I exist.
No, that one is. They're going to get a shoulder check from me because I'll move over if we're coming and they don't move over and I've moved over as far as because I'm going to continue running. Then we're going to bump shoulders and I don't know.
Maybe that's the attitude I should take because if there was a device
that.
that you could wear that would let you know who was not going to acknowledge you after they left because I can't catch them after they pass me.
Yeah.
My only opportunity is at that moment.
Take a taser.
We could do a
with you.
clothesline
Yeah.
them as they
A
come by.
taser.
Taser. Yeah.
So I could turn around and shoot them. Take a blow dart.
It'll be the one time you do it is going to be the most listened to podcast person. You're going to just mow them down, knock her off the mountain, and she's going to be like, "I loved that podcast."
Yeah. Maybe she was listening to the podcast when we were
Yeah.
running, and then she got distracted. See? Yeah.
Do you ever have any of that? You ever have like problems on the trail that you have to separate the kids in the sandbox?
Not really. I haven't heard that. This will be my second year to do it full time. I helped 3 years ago, so it's in general. What we've done is we start off the races with a wave start to try to minimize the traffic on the trails because we are a lot on single track and we've got short distances between where we start and where the trail narrows down. So we don't have any out and backs on our series, so it's all loops of some sort. But and we just tell everybody be nice and pass on your left. That's trail etiquette. Road is pass on your right or wherever you can go. But trails, you should pass on your left and when you're passing somebody, and announce yourself. And if they're wearing earbuds, yell. And I've more than once had to yell at somebody, and they still don't hear you. I'm going around you, but.
I don't ever go around people. I don't even know what that feels like. I wouldn't even know what to say.
I do run with headphones, but on trails, just to
Yeah.
respect the faster people, I make sure I usually don't wear them, but if I do, it's in this ear so I can hear
So you
them
hear,
say
yeah, and
that coming on your left.
Yeah, exactly. If you can still hear what's going on around you, and I'm like you, the ones that wear the speakers is. Come on now. Now you're disturbing harshing my mellow kind of thing, or whatever that is. So
There's got to be a psychology behind that. Like there has to be a psychological profile that a person who would wear a Bluetooth loudspeaker to a race, some sort of narcissistic tendency or checkbox that can be checked to say
All day.
every person
Yeah,
who does
exactly.
that,
Like all day long.
something is wrong.
There's another level where it's like, how do I keep this stuff charged all day?
Yeah.
Like they're
I can't keep my watch charged that long.
I know.
So
They've got a Bluetooth speaker and a phone that they're somehow 12 hours later is still working.
how many
And
batteries
what
do
are
they
they
carry with them?
thinking? Like I can't wait for these people to hear my playlist.
Right.
Like at some point
Gloria.
they're thinking, like these people are gonna think I'm the best.
I
Like
got
these
a
people are gonna
feeling.
think when I finish, they're gonna be like, that guy has the greatest taste in music. They have to think about that. That's so bizarre.
No, that's not my thought.
I would never think of doing that. Oh my gosh.
What else y'all got to talk about? We're already over the hour.
Oh boy.
It just goes by so fast.
It does. And lately, the guests are so good. We just need to just bring everybody back for 2 weeks in a row.
So that's a good idea.
So what are you doing next week?
So what is the Winter
not sure
Off-Road
what-
Series has how many more?
2 more races. We've got an 8K February 18th. I forget what dates are. The last one's the 25th. So the 18th. February 18th is the 8K, and then the 10K is out at Shelby Farms, and we've got a new course this year. So I'm really excited about that. We used to run the Tour de Wolf, and we've alternately had to share the trails with less than I don't know how you call it, people that carry their dogs out there and let them run wild. And so we've moved to the northwest corner where the middle school and elementary school and high school courses run cross country. And so we've developed a 10K trail that incorporates some really nice courses that the high school and kids run, along with some legendary trails that used to be part of the World Police and Fire 10K. And if you've ever run over in the pine forest around Beaver Lake, I think is what it is, where the Go Ape is, you'll see some signs that say 10K, Pine Lake. So there's some white signs up in there that say 10K run this direction. But that's part of the World Police and Fire that was done back in the 90s, I
never
think.
knew that.
Yeah. Coach Horton was the one that laid out that course, and then when Hurricane Elvis came through, a bunch of trees fell down and they lost the trail, but they've been bringing it back. And so we're going to have a traditional cross country gun start. I don't know if you've ever been to a cross country race.
My daughter, she did it in high school. So.
Yeah, so we'll have that. That's going to be interesting because we're going to have a really long line. We're not going to do a wave start for this one, and it's going to be interesting to see people who haven't done this before and see what they do, how fast they go out, and if they can maintain it, or if they kill themselves the first mile. kind of excited about that one. So, but
That sounds like fun.
yeah.
Well, I appreciate you taking time to be on the
Thank
show.
you for having me.
This has been a good
thank you.
time.
Thanks for coming
Appreciate
out,
it.
man.
Yeah.
LHRL number 83 is in the books.